Marianne's Macabre Review is brought to you by the It's All Been Done Network, or IABD, as the kids call it. It includes other written works and podcasts, like Squatch Smashers, which is back for Season 3 with a pop quiz. Who shot Announcer 1? How are we supposed to tell three identical characters apart in a strictly audio medium? How will Zeke afford his war on Timmy Pillows? Can the alliance between the deadly Tripodus and Timmy Pillows last? Is the IABD network, in fact, a front organization for the insidious military-industrial podcast complex? Will their out-of-control mascot, Mipsy Russell, attack your podcast next? Who else is related to Queen Sam Squanch? Pencils down. Now, trade your answer sheets with your neighbor. Are you ready? Okay. The answers are, don't know, you won't, he can't, it won't, it is, probably yes, and everyone. Now pass your papers up to me. Good job. You got 3 of them right. Now listen and remember to support us and all of our shows at the IABD Network at patreon.com/IABD.
Welcome to Marianne's Macabre Review.
Hello and welcome to Marianne's Macabre Review. We are here with Carrie Breitenstein, the creator, or the owner, creator, designer, everything. What do you call yourself?
Queen Zombie.
Queen Zombie of Twilight Creations, board game company. And I want to talk to her because I've been friends with her for years, and we are covering here at Origins 2019, and we are talking about her new games that she has. Plus, we were in a little backstory about her Twilight Creation games, Zombies, and a Haunting House. Keith and I played the second story last night, and we just love that game so much.
Who won?
Keith won. So, first you've got 2 Kickstarters coming out in July. One of them is Raid on Mount Murhata, and the other one is Patient Zero. I've played both of these, and I really like them. How did you come up with these ideas, and can you describe them a little bit for us?
Patient Zero was presented to me by the designer at UK Games Expo last year. And I love the idea of it, and I love the party aspect of it. In the game, you get infections, and the infections will influence your behavior. Like if you have a physical one, you might be tapping the table, you might be playing an air instrument, or you might be tugging on your ear. The talking one, you might have to always say always in every sentence, clear your throat before you talk, or talk loudly, talk in a whisper. And there's ones that you could do rules infections as well if you're uncomfortable doing the other ones. Once you have your infections, everybody's given a role card, so you're either Patient Zero or you're a human. And the object of the game is to figure out who Patient Zero is. And Patient Zero is trying to get one of the humans or one of the players to get 3 infections.
Awesome. What about Raid on Mount Murhata?
So Murhata is murder in Filipino. Filipino?
Oh, nice.
Yes. So Raid on Mount Murhata, you're playing a monster. You're invading villages, trying to get resources to appease the geezer. And you do this by soliciting help from other monsters and negotiating with them to give them treasures, favors, or anything throughout the game. And the monsters that do not help you raid the village will help defend the village.
Okay. So they have creeplins and little guys. Are they from something, or did you make those all up?
Those are actually from a co-op game that we're going to publish next year, which will be Monsters on Mount Murhata.
tell us about your background with zombies. How did you get into this line of business where you're working on your 16th expansion now?
Well, we designed zombies when Todd was working for the United States Playing Card Company, and they through Journeyman Press, and they dissolved Journeyman Press, but they allowed us to take the game with us, and we were able to start Twilight Creations.
Awesome.
We were big zombie horror movie fans. A lot of the stuff you can see, we refer to George Romero movies, and that's how we came up with the game and all the expansions. And
awesome. How do you get your ideas? Like we have in the jailhouse, in the sewers. Where do you get your ideas from?
but they come from all different places. So the jailhouse jailbreak came from a prisoner warden had stopped at her booth in Dragon Con. She worked for the Georgia State Penitentiary, and she said that she took zombies to the prison and let the prisoners play. And she said what would be really awesome is if you could do a prison expansion. And that's the next year we came out with the prison expansion.
That's awesome. So you have a zombie clowns one. Was it an inspiration for the zombie zombie clown?
It was a bit of an inspiration. It's not, people are afraid of clowns. People are afraid of zombies. So we're like, hey, what's worse than those two? Put them together.
Mix them all together, yeah.
2 nightmares in 1.
What is your favorite horror game outside of the ones that you have here?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
What's your favorite board game then?
It all depends what I'm in the mood for. I do like, I like a lot of the older games.
Yeah.
Robo Rally is definitely one of my favorite. I do play Catan every once in a while. Puerto Rico, that type of game. Code Names we've been having a lot of fun with.
That's a good one. It's one of Keith's favorites.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say is your favorite horror movie?
My very favorite horror movie. Once again, it's a matter of what I'm in the mood for at the time. I'm a big fan of like the funnier zombie movies like Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland.
I remember it was Fluffy's graduation, and we were all watching movies, and there was one called Zombies. Zombies. So, what is your least favorite movie genre?
I'm not a big fan of kung fu movies. Some of the funnier ones, like Shanghai Noon, things like that, I'm okay with, but I can't get into that genre so much.
What about least favorite horror genre?
I would have to say vampires.
One of my favorites.
Sorry.
No.
But yeah.
I like all horror movies. However,
I do too.
My least favorite one would be either natural disasters, like anything with an exclamation point at the end. One word: earthquake! Exclamation point. Volcano! Exclamation point.
Shark attack.
Shark. Yeah. And then there's others.
Sharknado.
Just add them all together, and are like giant animals. I'm like, okay. There's the one that's coming out in movie theaters that's giant crocodiles. I'm like, okay.
I have to agree with that one. I would do away with those.
Yeah, it's overplayed, and they follow the same cliches and everything.
Yeah, they do.
It's not really anything more substantive. Hello, this is Marianne. I am back again at Origins Game Fair 2019. I'm here with Anthony Nelson, and we are going to talk about horror board games. So Anthony is actually the one that got me introduced to Carrie and at the time Todd, and they started demoing all the board games. Paul liked them a lot, and then one time I think it was Deadlands, they said
yes,
come to Gen Con, demo, be the demo person for Deadlands.
No.
And then I've never ever
No, that's not how it happened.
How it happened.
You were so excited about Deadlands. You showed up dressed as a character from Deadlands.
From my Deadlands.
And because of that, you ended up demoing Deadlands the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And when everything was all said and done, you were like, I never want to play Deadlands again.
Yes. But I still do it because I am still the one that knows Deadlands the best.
You're the only one,
The
I
only
think.
one, yeah. But it's a fun game.
Yes, it is.
I tweak the rules a little bit when I play it, just so it's a little bit faster moving. So, what drew you to Twilight Creations games?
Well, the story actually begins when I was in a Big Brother, Big Sister program. So, I had a little brother who was really into Pokemon, and I wanted to bring him to the Pokemon event that was happening at Origins. And he couldn't go, so I came out, and I did Pokemon that weekend, and Paul came out that weekend. I didn't have very many events scheduled. In like 2 hours, Paul had almost 27 hours worth of games he bought. And they were almost all of them Twilight Creations. So he started playing zombies and so forth that entire weekend. Well, then we went to Gen Con that year, and he actually kind of became friends with one of the demoers. And then at Gen Con, we started playing more games, and so he says to Paul, hey, we could use some help. Why don't you help? So that next year at Origins, Paul was there teaching people how to play. I don't remember. I think that was the year that we released Humans, possibly. I can't remember exactly what game it was, but I remember I didn't have anything going on. I was standing at the booth, and Todd knew that Paul and I were friends. So Paul was teaching games.
Paul is now here.
Paul is now
Smith.
here.
Say hi, Paul Smith.
Hello, Paul Smith.
So Paul was teaching games, and we were really busy. And Todd was like, hey, do you know how to play this game? And I said, yes, I do. He goes, great. Go over there and teach these people how to play. So we went over and taught those people how to play, and we've been doing it ever since.
Awesome. Okay, welcome back. We are at the Twilight Creations booth with PBS, Doug, and Anthony, and we are talking about a game we just played called Patient Zero. We heard Carrie talk about it a little bit. What did you guys think?
It was pretty easy to pick up. I won, so I loved it.
PBS was Patient Zero.
I think it's funny. Like, I didn't realize it was gonna have all the physical and the different ways to interact with each other in it, and I think that's really neat. I was pretty excited to see that.
I had to question talk. Anthony had to only look at the person to your left, and you had to only look at the person to the right. So I got stared at the whole time,
which was super uncomfortable because we're just like staring at you.
And I had to accuse Patient Zero of being Patient Zero.
Right. So that I was like,
yeah,
that was
it was
pretty
accused
easy.
the leader of Patient Zero. Ken is also here. Come on over, Ken.
Hi, Ken.
He was in our previous game of Patient Zero. What did you think of Patient Zero, the game?
I liked it. I think it's it's a cool. Has a lot of cool mechanics that and I was thinking about Pandemic, Betrayal in the House on the Hill, and a lot of those things. And also, I liked how the infections, encourage a bit of like role play around the table.
Yeah, and they even have those things like if I don't feel comfortable role playing, you can do the one that is. It changes the rules, so like I only can accuse the leader of being Patient Zero, like the one that Doug got. So, quick question. So, we're going to ask your favorite type of horror movie, and then your least favorite genre of horror movie. So, favorite type of genre, horror movie, least favorite. Anthony, why don't you start?
I will have to say that my favorite type are the suspense thriller. I love the Insidious movies.
Oh my gosh, this is so good at building.
I love the Conjuring movies. The Others with Nicole Kidman. I love that type of movie. The genre that I do not enjoy is overtly hack and slash. Though I will say I do love Hellraiser.
I don't think Hellraiser is hack and slash.
I know, but I love the original Halloween. I love the original Friday the 13th. I love the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Those are all original.
Jason is a hack and slash.
Yeah, Jason has a tendency to be a hack and slash. So I like the original. After that, meh.
Yeah. Trisha, what's your favorite and your least favorite?
Well, you actually took my favorite because I'd say Thriller is. So I'm going to go for like my guilty pleasure one.
That could be your favorite.
But I love found footage.
Oh yeah.
I love the and I know that there's not many people that are in this camp with me, but like Blair Witch Project, Paranormal, whatever.
I love
all of those.
Activity.
Yeah, there's so many versions of those now, and I like the feeling that it's real.
Yeah.
And so when things happen, my suspension of disbelief, it's easier to kind of get into the movie. There's not many horror movies I don't like, but I will say once Jason and Freddy got super campy and it got away from their origin and more into they're almost a trope, like they're just making fun of themselves, I got out of it.
Doug, I hear you're a fraidy cat. So, do you have a favorite? What can you absolutely not watch?
The ones I don't like are the ones that are just a series of jump scares.
Okay, yeah.
Like
Those are what I like.
I like the long, drawn out,
the psychological
building
horror
suspense.
type.
Yeah.
Okay. Ken, do you have a favorite?
I've never really been big into horror. I guess if there is something that I might gravitate towards, it's probably sort of the paranormal ghost story genre.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
You know, I think if something I definitely don't like is just like gore for its own sake. You know, to me it's just very gratuitous, very redundant, and
kind of like Final Destination, where it's just like, what's gonna happen now?
Or Human Centipede, where it's just basically trying to just one up the gross out factor.
Yes, so. Good call.
Yeah.
Paul, what is your favorite?
Oh no, there's no running away.
What is your favorite horror type genre?
I'm in the same boat as Anthony. It's the suspense is the favorite. It's just that whole sit on the edge of your seat, wait for things to jump.
And what is your least favorite genre?
That hack and slash, blood splurting everywhere. It's like you can still have the suspense up to that. So why do you need all that?
Yeah. You should rely on your gameplay.
Yeah.
You like the Hitchcock more of you don't see
like
it?
the noir type stuff.
Yes.
But he also
the dog in Halloween is a good example of that. When they're describing the dog in Halloween, that like towards the beginning of the movie, the doctor comes in and they're him and the sheriff sitting there staring at a dead dog on the floor. They never show it.
Oh yeah.
See, Paul may not like hack and slash, and I don't like hack and slash, but I will say really bad, horrible B-rated movies like Zombievers. Oh yeah.
So I have a
what is this called?
Zombievers.
Zombievers. Okay, putting that on the list.
We'll have to put this on our list.
Yes.
So I have a recommendation for you. It's Black Sheep. It is Were Sheep. Hilarious.
That's kind of like Zombievers.
Yep.
It sounds like.
Probably Zombievers.
Were sheep.
Were sheep.
Yep.
Were
Okay,
sheep and
I'm in.
Zombievers.
I'm doing it.
I've seen Zombievers, and the title is a very succinct description of the movie as a whole.
I'm telling you, it sounds like a good ride.
Alrighty, folks. We might have a jump in quality, and you might hear Keith when we come back. So, alrighty, guys. Bye-bye.
I'm powering up my special attack. Shocking quality jump! Well, the only thing that I would have added had I been there, I think, would have been to take issue with Marianne's inclusion of, and I'm sure this probably just came to the top of her head, but Final Destination in that series as an example of something that is gore for its own sake, which, I don't know, I suppose that's a discussion for another time. Let's find out what Jimmy Jerome has to say about it.
It's All Been Done presents Who's Got the Time?
One